Bitter criticism on a regular Friday. Woo! 30 minutes. I hope not read just popular mechanics. I've been reading a lot of popular mechanics because it's great too. So popular mechanics is being great. They are doing great. They are doing a great job. Talking about physics. You know, right here, summer had come today, and Chilean summer is dangerous because we don't have UV layer protection. We don't have UV protection. I mean, there's nothing. There's no layer protection. Understand? There's nothing between the sun and us. Just a little electromagnetical field. That's it. I'm going to read something from Popular Mechanics. What about Popular Mechanics? Just one from Popular Mechanics, only one. Because politics is more important, I guess. Why? Because politics is more important because we decide what to do. And Popular Mechanics are saying the dogs of Chernobyl may not be mutating after all, one study claims. I guess I'm going to read it. There's few shares. People don't love physics, but let's read some physics. Popular Mechanics on Facebook. The dogs of Chernobyl may not be mutating after all, one study claims. Their genetic differences may have another explanation altogether. By that in ORF, published January 17, 2025. There's a photograph, a dog in Chernobyl, I guess. For nearly 40 years, the Chernobyl exclusion zone, CEZ, has been a laboratory for scientists to study the long-term effects of radiation exposure. One of the ongoing subjects in this unintentional laboratory is the group of stray dogs that mysteriously exhibit genetic differences from populations located where? A new study determines that radiation-induced mutation is not the cause, and that the true reason could be related to intense selective pressures or other toxins released into the environment during decades of cleanup and remediation. So it's not the problem is not radiation itself, but the treatment of radiation. So maybe this is just propaganda against Soviet Union, you know? It could be just propaganda against Soviet Union. On April 26, 1986, the worst nuclear disaster since World War II decimated Chernobyl in the Soviet Union. Nearly 40 years later, a lot had changed. Chernobyl, for one, is now within the borders of Ukraine, and the destroyed reactor is now capped by a massive dome, known as new safe confinement. Oh, and the dogs are different too. Although Chernobyl has an unprecedented moment in history that caused terrible suffering to both humans and the local environment, the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, CEZ, provides an equally unprecedented opportunity to study the long-term effects of radiation exposure. Just like me right now, I have some radiation exposure I'm pretty sure about. I guess this is worse. This is some blue ray exposure to blue ray right here in Chile, including the effects of stray dogs. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, CEZ, provides an equally unprecedented opportunity to study the long-term effects of radiation exposure, including the effects on stray dogs that strayed behind when the CEZ was initially evacuated. Previous studies of these dogs, which compared their genes to similar populations in nearby Chernobyl city and elsewhere in Eastern Europe, have found distinct genetic differences between the groups. But scientists could not be sure exactly what was causing this genetic variation. Some experts theorize that this could be radiation-induced mutations. Some experts theorize that this could be radiation-induced mutation at work, but others disagreed, saying how isolating the cause, other selective pressures, or inbreeding can be difficult. Quote, these studies are so hard, there's a lot of other stuff going in the natural environment. One scientist told Science New back in 2023. That's it. Now a new study published nearly 2 years later confidently asserts that we can at least cross radiation off the list. Published in the journal PLOS 1 by scientists from North Carolina State University and Columbia University, Mailman School of Public Health in New York. This new genetic analysis look at the chromosomal level, the genome level, and even the nucleotides of the Chernobyl dogs, and found no abnormalities indicative of radiation-induced mutation. Quote, we have been working with two dogs populations that was separated by just 16 kilometers or about 10 miles, are genetically distinct. Matthew Breen, senior author of the study from North Carolina State University, said in a press statement, we are trying to determine if low-level exposure over many years to environmental toxins such as radiation, lead, etc., could explain some of those differences. To establish a baseline for comparison, the team compared the genome of Chernobyl city dogs located 10 miles from CEZ to dogs found in regions of Russia, Poland, and other nearby countries. Once they determined that the populations were genetically similar, then they used the Chernobyl city dogs as a representative control for their study. Of course, the task wasn't simple, and more than a couple dozen dog generations have passed since the original pups that witnessed to the Chernobyl meltdown in 1986. Quote, we know that, for example, exposure to high doses of radiation can introduce instability from the chromosomal level on down, Breen said in a press statement. While this dog population is 30 or more generations removed from the one present during the 1986 disaster, mutations will likely still be detectable if they conferred a survival advantage to those original dogs. but we didn't find any such evidence in these dogs. However, the mystery is far from solved. While radiation may not be the direct cause of the genetic mutations, many other toxins, including heavy metals, lead powder, pesticides, and asbestos, have entered the environment due to cleanup and remediation efforts over the decades. The authors also theorize that it's possible the original surviving dogs already possesses genetic traits that increased the likelihood of their survival. Quote, so perhaps there was extreme selective pressure at the start, and then the dogs at the power plant just remained separate from the city population. Megan Dillion, lead author of the study at NC State postdoctoral student, said in a press statement, quote, investigating that question is an important next step that we are now working on. And that's it. In my opinion, radiation doesn't exist. My opinion is just a fake news. Milho, vem aqui. Aqui, mira. Milho, tell me. What about these dogs? These dogs look... These dogs look ill? Because of radiation, because of some radiation? Yeah. Because of... Look, this is Chilean radiation, people. Chilean radiation.